Right, it's going to be another episode of Hot Take Point Made. This will be an episode, warning, it'll come up later in the episode, where you will actually hear some takes from plebs, aka fans, aka loyal supporters of the show who subscribe to the Discord. So if you want to be that pleb, or just enjoy the fun of supporting us to destroy plebs, then subscribe to Last Nation Discord. There's a channel, CS Hot Takes, and you can submit your own hot take, which may indeed get roasted. Listen, it's just the way it goes. You have to understand, if I could actually choose, I would make all of Kassad's takes be absolute nonsense. It's just every now and then he slips one in there that almost makes sense, you know. So I understand, I'm not going to do what, like, I already saw Maui when we did the first one, and I picked one where it was like that mad take of like, I can't even remember what it was. It was some garbage. Like, does anyone remember what the take was? What was the first take we ever did? Do you remember? What was the first fan? Oh, Mongols. Mongols would win. No, it was Mongols would win a major within a year. There you go. People were going, no, but you shouldn't do that, Thorin. You should pick one that's really like reasonable and well. No, that's just you wanting to be on the show and be loved by us and be accepted and validated. That's not the purpose of this show. The purpose of this show is everyone else's takes are trash, and you have to explain why in great detail while potentially screaming at each other. So, who has the first take to start with? Because it better be a good one to come out the gate with.
Okay. It's always me, so I want to let Maui take this.
Yeah, okay. I have one that's actually fairly hot. Right. I have one that's pretty hot, and it's actually a prediction. We can look back at it instead of just saying some idle statement about the current space. Because I'm looking at the top teams. I'm thinking about, you know, just what I've seen lately and everything like that. And the way that Aurora lost to Complexity and the way they keep losing in these pressure games, it's not even just that. I'm calling it now. This is kind of the downfall of Aurora. Aurora will not be making the playoffs of the major. For a team that's been elite at making playoffs every single tournament, they haven't missed a playoffs this entire season. I'm not saying like they haven't won in any of these playoffs, but I just don't think that Aurora is going to make it through the group stage of the major. I feel like their map pool is too top heavy for one, and in a BO1 format, this is kind of what killed them at the RMRs actually, because they couldn't get Anubis in any of the BO1s that they played at the RMRs. They went 1-3, if people remember this. Like, technically they had Calyx, obviously, instead of Jota, who's up, and Jota's helped them out tremendously. But something about just, like, the rest of their map pool does not inspire confidence to me. I like their Anubis, and I really, to me, it kind of just falls off at that point. I feel like it's the one map where I found trust with them, where I'm like, okay, in a BO3, they're always going to have a map in their back pocket. But in a BO1 format, you're not getting Anubis. You're probably not even getting a second best map. And then you're oftentimes going to be on maps like Inferno, maybe Dust 2. And really, against a lot of other teams, I just have a lot more faith in them. So I even wrote down all the teams that I think will make it over them. But yeah, just that's okay. I mean,
come on, let's do it.
Okay, so the teams that I think will make, I think the obvious tier of teams is Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, Falcons. Those four are instantly going to jump over them for me. And then the other teams that I think have a better chance, or at least ramping up, are, I think FaZe now is showing me little bit by little bit, just more. Obviously, FaZe's season so far hasn't looked so good, but I'd say I still have them 5 doing better than them. And then I would have Na'Vi, just have more FaZe overall in them getting it through a group stage. Mongols, and then you do have to go a little bit off the reservation. You do have to like kind of take a risk on a team at this point. And this is where it's kind of like, I don't know if I really think it's going to be 3D Max, but I mean, I've been singing the praises of 3D Max for a while. Like I'd say 3D Max is a team. I think Liquid can power up. I think Liquid can 100% power up.
The joke is, Kassad, it'd be quicker if I asked him which teams can't fucking make it. I'm fully hell. He's just about 20 teams. I know. Fucking hell, he's just going.
I thought I was gonna say like, yeah, there is a chance for Fury.
I know.
All this, like, what the fuck are you even saying?
Okay.
They're a fringe to me. They're just on the fringe. They're on the fringe. Like they would be my they'd be like my 8th to 10th most likely to make the playoffs practically. Okay, that's kind of where I'm at with them now. Yeah, I'm selling my Aurora stock.
All right, I'll give him this, Kassad. It is a hot take. You want to take this? Go on, wait, go on this.
No, it's like there's so many layers to this. Like I don't know where to start. Let's start from the Aurora thing, right? And I kind of do agree with the kind of falling off when it comes to, you know, Aurora or Eternal Fire, right? Because they seem to have a problem also, I don't mean about the map pool per se individually, as a team, sorry, because I don't know what it means when you said like top heavy in regards of map pool. I don't
He
know what the
means
fuck
as in
does
they
that mean.
really rely on Anubis and whatever other pick you were going to pick out Inferno or something. Like whatever
So they
most
don't have
important
a
picks.
like a big map pool.
Yeah,
They have like
exactly.
their own specialty
Yeah.
maps and that's it, right? If they
Yeah.
don't get those, they are in problem. Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, that's what I mean.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so that's kind of, I mean, accurate as you think about it deeply. But for me, it feels like they have a problems beating teams they're supposed to beat. Right now, they're overcame this tier 2 gate, got into tier 1, into like top 5, whatever you want to call them, and they have not yet figured out how to deal with these teams that are weaker than them. Right? You remember your Liquids and Astralises and like FaZe and G2 at some point. They would never lose, to a team on paper that's weaker than them. Now, I was going to say Eternal Fire, but Aurora is constantly losing these important matches against the teams they're supposed to win, like they're heavy favorites, right? Those big matches. The one against Complexity is the true example. Complexity has a Cinderella run, their honeymoon, whatever. They played well. We cannot deny that. It's what it is. But Eternal Fire should have won that. There was no logical explanation for them to lose. Like in every aspect of the game, they had the upper hand. Like skill wise, experience wise, everything, literally everything. And they lost like 2-0 at some, against a team that is not even supposed to be there when you look at it, from a neutral perspective, right? And to them to not make a major playoffs, I think that's a fair take. I do agree with that one. I don't agree with your list of teams that are supposed to be guaranteed in the playoffs, though. For
it's
me,
not guaranteed.
mental.
It's just it's like
No. You said guaranteed in the first 4 teams. You said Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, and you said Falcons.
Yeah, those 4.
Why the fuck would you even say Falcons? Just because they won this event?
They won this event and they upgraded their opper. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't automatically qualifies you to the playoffs. We've seen better teams flop even more. Like they still have the same problems. It's not like m0NESY is gonna, change drastically everything that is happening inside Falcons immediately. Also, there is a fact of like the additional pressure on m0NESY right now because every event they don't perform, including the major, is gonna be like, you see, they won with degster. They would have won this with degster. Degster played well in the fucking PGL. Degster this, degster that. m0NESY is not, what he used to be, and like the pressure will keep adding unless they fucking win more events, which is probably not gonna happen when you have Vitality, Mouse, Spirit in the mix as well. Now we have to think about this event of PGL as well, and understand that there was not the best teams there again. Similar to the previous one in where was it?
Cluj.
At the beginning of the year. Yes, Cluj. Same thing happened. Mouse won that one against Falcons again. Now Falcons won against G2, but there was no Spirit. There was no, Navi, not Navi, but Vitality, Spirit, and the rest of the, I guess, teams that are supposed to be there. When it comes to FaZe, you said also FaZe. Where did you come up with FaZe? What have they shown you outside of a 13-0 and 13-5 against 3D Max that they can actually be a semi-guaranteed playoff team? Like, I haven't seen anything. They barely scraped to the playoffs. They had a, FaZe Classic in the first game of the, the quarterfinals against 3D Max, where they destroyed 3D Max, who you also put in the possible playoffs. So it's kind of crazy for me. That part is a bigger hot take than the first part about Aurora, because I do agree about the Aurora thing, but when it comes to these teams that are supposed to be in the playoffs, I would pick totally different.
My problem with this take is it's not a bad hot take, because I actually think most people are going to say the opposite. They're going to say like they're right on the brink of breaking through and doing something in the playoffs and like winning a tournament or something. I mean, by the way, I actually think this example of this PGL tournament right now is, we'll get to it later, I've no doubt, like kassad was saying that there. This is an example of where people are just all over the place with their fucking rankings. Like on paper, when the playoffs began for this tournament, if you're Aurora, you're just supposed to win the event, mate. Like all the teams that are supposed to be better than you aren't there. Like, you didn't even make the final. Like, fucking hell, didn't he make the semis, for fuck's sake? So I do think that is scary. So I put it this way, part of me still thinks it's not impossible they can just like win a tournament. It's just that I wouldn't pick it right now. So the problem is, my take would be more like, maybe they don't ever make the playoff breakthrough. The problem is, I do think you've mad over-egged the pudding by going too far the other way and being like, now they drop off. And then this is why kassad was just given too much fertile ground there. Because you just started putting teams above them that have done nothing themselves to be above them. Like, 3D Max have done what? Like, beating Aurora, that's it. Okay, great. Well, it doesn't even work out for that team. Again, keep going down the list. Yeah, same with FaZe. Like, look, Aurora's got some issues and some warning signs, but they're still better than FaZe on paper. So I don't know why FaZe would be ahead of them. So yeah, I'm the same with kassad. The problem is I would take half those teams you listed on, fucking kick them all out. Then Na'Vi, give me a break. If anything, Na'Vi's going down with them, mate. They're both going down fucking Davy Jones' locker at the bottom of the ocean. They're all dead. Like, these are all dead rosters that need to change. So
I did list 10 teams that I said were better. Okay. I did list 10. So it's not like all of them will make the playoffs. Like, I'm just saying these are all teams with 10? Yeah, I listed 10 teams. I said, yes, I wrote down 10 teams.
Anyway, in short, if there's only 8 teams, if there's only 8 teams making the playoffs, I would easily take Aurora to be one of the 8. Like, look, once they make the playoff, who gives a fuck, mate? They can go back and scroll back if they want to listen to the list. I already think, like, they won't win the tournament or go deep. I would absolutely take them to be top 8. I think that's a totally reasonable one. The only one downside, I think, is actually just the Xantares factor. Apparently he's ill, and it does look like in his game he isn't as good the last month or two. So I could believe that's true. But actually, I even think that's why this take would be way better than, like, with the pre-Jota lineup, mate, because I actually think, like, Woxic sort of picked up some of the slack for Xantares. Yep. Jota himself's had some massive series. And even though I agree, like, look, they only, like, auto wins in Ubers. First of all, it's a pretty good fucking map to have in the pool. And then secondly, you went too far the other way on the map pool thing there. Here's the other reason why Eternal Fire is really hard to predict. Because actually their map pool means they're, like, fairly good on all the maps everyone else plays. So they can also just randomly beat you on a map. Like, they don't even have to win on, like, their map in the series. So I think they're pretty good, actually, mate. Like, I do think they have issues in the playoffs, and I think Magic is something of a bomb under pressure. But aside from that, I think it is. The problem is, any diss against the following teams, guys, Eternal Fire / Aurora, Mongols, Falcons, you're just dissing CS, not even the team at that point in time. Like, these are, like, the 5th, 6th best teams in the world. Like, there just aren't better squads out there right now. So I think you went too far on that one. You pushed it too far. You pushed it too far on that take. It's all good.
Basically, he's calling you insane without calling you insane.
I mean, it's just that.
What was insane was the list of names. Like he just put teams that I agree with you. Here's the thing: he did technically say it was a prediction.
It's basically adding more details made the take bad. Like, it's just there's a premise behind it. It's also like if you say something like I don't know. Yeah, like giving all the details every time means you can nitpick the take. But like, yeah, I mean, if I had to give them in a power ranking, they'd probably be 8th, but I just think that they're trending downwards.
But this way, that's fine, but you didn't establish the whole thing of why all those other teams would be better. That's where your whole argument fell apart. If it was
now I have to make an argument for teams 7 through 10 that are going to beat them? Like,
you don't.
Okay.
But put it this way, none of your reasons against them would make those teams go through. Like by the way, are we even going to talk about map pools? We're just going to throw FaZe Clan in there. And then we're going to talk about, like, fucking being top heavy. Then we're going to throw, like, 3D Max in there. Like, mate, they live on dust too. Like, what are we talking about? Like, all these teams would have just as many red flags, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, okay, if you're losing to complexity... Also, okay, here's another actual reason. The reason I think that they're losing every single playoff game that they're playing is because they're actually just getting anti-stratted a little bit. Okay. Like, the thing is, nobody...
God, come on, man.
Okay.
People like, is that... They got anti... And they lost to complexity 2-0 because they're getting anti-strat.
Yes. Like, they didn't get 2-0, by the way. They got 2-1, but like...
Yeah, 2-1, yeah.
kassad, you have to realize they're so next level, like 70 Donald Trump Jenga, that, you know, when Magic calls that classic strat, Xantares go kill, they call the anti-strat, Xantares go die. And they just wait there. And when he comes, they kill him.
Absolutely. Like, it's a perfect counter.
Exactly. Fucking game over. Think it through. What are you going to do? You haven't got 2 Xantares, have you? Oh, you have got a mini.
All right, whatever. Either way, we'll see. We'll see. Come major playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I see. Like I said, it's the first part that kind of can happen because we've seen, weirder things happen and much more, many more surprises than that one. But like the other one where he put the other like 3D Max to be fucking in the playoffs, like crazy.
Right, I've got one that I think's hilarious because it's one of those ones where I've sort of cheated, like, nah, boo, but I haven't though, because you all did this. You all made the world that this take can exist in. I didn't. If it was up to me, this take would be invalid the moment it left my mouth, but it isn't. It's so valid. It's so real that you can't even handle it, kassad. So, in the last episode, you were saying about how Falcons like the worst GM team ever, like Zonic should just be fired if he doesn't make like the final of the major or something mental like that. Like, I'm going to go the other way. Here's my hot take. You all went way too fucking hard on Falcons this year specifically. All of those takes were fine. 2023, 2024. You can even do them, by the way, with the desperation gambles. Bring Simple back for Megabox, where you're just paying out the arse to like lend a legacy. You could, all those takes were totally fine. Dupree instead of fucking Boros never made any sense on paper. You go look at all the lands they had. They used to have to like play the most epic best of three to win, like, you know, the second match in a tournament. Like, they weren't even that good last year. But for some weird reason, you all fucking doubled down on your Falcons takes this year. You all pretended Degster was an actual cretin who can't even press mouse one. You all did that all last year. The second he came back, you were all like, oh, Mr. Visa, get him out the team. Oh, Mr. Opshot, get him out the team. He's like wonderful, but Russian. Oh, get him out the team. And then now you just all have to sit back while he literally is awarded the MVP. You're all now, get ready. I can't even believe how two-faced this scene is. The same scene which went, oh my God, St. Pius just lost his job to Degster, is now going to go, Men in Black. What? Dexter's losing his job. What's going on? I love Degster, me. You're all the ones who wanted him out the team last year. You wanted him out of Heroic. You never wanted him in Heroic. Then you were like, right, he's gone. Lol. I hope you enjoyed playing the Falcons, Degster, because this is only picking up the trio for the VRS. Lol. Then he had like one fucking good tournament now, and you're all like, oh, it's so unfair. Why does he look? Dexter's crying. Why is m0NESY being brought in? Like, I can't handle you guys. Which is it? Is it Days of Their Lives? Is it like, oh, but, Nani, why are you leaving, Nico? I thought we were brothers. Hey, m0NESY, I'll see you in future. Hate me so you can go strong, Sasuke, and meet me later in the episode. Like, why are you doing all these narratives? So it's okay. I'll put it to you, fans of St. Pius, Degster, fake m0NESY haters now. You all went too hard on Falcons. You all should have actually just kept it reasonable, kept your dick in your pants, made a separate topic. The separate topic is about what Zonic done with the millions he's had over the years. The separate topic is, what are the Saudis doing? Is it good to have Saudis involved? The third topic is like, is this whole project a waste of time? Do they ever care about profit? But that should never have affected the players, guys. The players were the heroic team of last year with a better fucking star player, Nico. And I'd say it's just on the line as to whether you think Degster, fucking, what's his name, Magic is better than fucking Shush. That's a fucking push, as we say in Blackjack. Like, so I think everyone, listen, I'm not going to go the other way, even though they just won an event. Look, I don't think they would ever have won this event if Vitality was there, if Spirit was there. I'll forget Na'Vi. I actually think, by the way, those are the only two teams. After that, Mouse. Yeah, Mouse should also beat them. There you go. There's three teams that will beat them. But aside from that, people went way too far with this Falcons thing. If you notice, if you went back throughout this year, my position for Falcons is probably somewhere between 6 and 9 in the world. And I think it just depends tournament to tournament where they are on that list. And if you go and look who else there are, it's a bit like what we did earlier with Maui's point. There just aren't that many good top teams, guys. Like, after you get past Falcons, you actually have to literally go to, like, is Team Liquid any good? You know what I mean? Like, there's not many good teams. Virtus Pro, people laugh at Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro's right in that fucking wheelhouse, mate. You look who they can beat, look who they lose to. So I think, essentially, being as about 1 second before the fucking playoffs of this tournament, bro, the team wasn't even out. By the way, there's the last thing to say. Do you know how badly it's now aged? How much everyone laughed at Falcons in this tournament? So you laughed at them. Are you ready, guys? For losing to Game Legion. Game Legion is just legit. I've won 1 million underdog bets with Game Legion, by the way, the last 2.5 months. Then the other one was Call. Oh, I'm with you. I was laughing, Maui. But we're all now saying they're fucking top 4. They're actually good. Like, what have they actually done? Did Falcons not just come to this event aside from listen, the Game Legion result looked bad. But aside from that, these aren't even that bad. So everyone in the whole fucking scene went too hard on Falcons. There's my take. You all treated them like they were actually like last year's team, and they were 17th permanently. You could never have made a playoffs ever. Meanwhile, they're actually like fucking a good team, mate. They're not amazing, but they're a good team. Come on. They're dead now, of course. Brand new roster, but don't worry about that.
They came last place in like 4 tournaments this season.
They definitely, they 100% did not. They 100% did not.
Trying to look like
not actual last place, but they were like, okay, at the last spring, like the bounty, they were nearly dead last.
Well, fucking hell! Oh my god! In the online bounty, did they come last place? Jesus.
Okay, at Katowice, they came in last place. At Katowice, they came last place also.
Does Katowice count?
You're making your point now, mate. So I don't know what your point is.
Well, Katowice, they came in last place. Blast bounty, they were last place practically. EPL, they didn't make the playoffs of like this super cupcake tournament generally. Like, I mean,
I noticed the context just fell apart on the EPL. It's weird artwork works, isn't it?
What? I mean, like, dude, they were bad. They were actually bad. This whole season, they were pretty darn bad. The Cluj is their best result. The Cluj is clearly their best result, but like the other tournaments, like they were. If you looked at the results at other tournaments, you would probably say they are the 15th best team in the world. But if you just only look at the PGL events, they won one and came in second. Yeah. So it's like something flips a switch when it's just like a huge prize pool for them.
I think you lost this one, Duncan.
Well, I mean, kassad, I'll actually grant. I will grant you 100%. It is impossible for me to win. If Maui can say the sentence, if we just ignore all the tournaments they did well at, they're really bad. Yes, you are right, kassad. If I have if that is the circumstances I am judged by, I will never be able to get a point right. I hope you understand that.
I didn't say that.
Same Maui, by the way, who has to work that event and pretend it's really good. So he's actually already just restrained all his magic. If that had been fucking blasphemy, he'd have torn that event apart. Magically, he just went, and then all the does like the two PGLs, the ones you're bigging up. You're all over him, mate. You're fucking flying a flag in the background PGL on it. What are you talking about? Is it good or not? Is it a good tournament or not?
Wait, did you just like say that he's like kind of because he's working for PGL, he's kind of thinking they're good?
Are you having a laugh?
Is that what you said?
Are you having a laugh?
No.
He went out of his way to not say those events were bad. He obviously thinks they are.
I mean,
I mean they are.
It's just the events that for them last year to go from not making either major. Okay, it's a different team this year. It's a different team. Okay, to be fair to them, but with the results that they had this year, the Cluj one just felt like okay. The thing is, before Bucharest, the Cluj result felt like an outlier, and it felt like an outlier for obvious reasons. The top 5 teams weren't there. Now, with this victory, you definitely would say that, you know, they're a team that's obviously on the way up, and now they have m0NESY, so you never even really have to worry about this 5-man lineup for Falcons that we just watched anymore. The community did go too hard in the other direction because obviously people want to say bad things about Saudi-run team and everything like that. Like, that was never really my angle with Falcons. My angle was always just like I don't know. People come at Falcons for a variety of different reasons. I always just kind of felt like the 2 key factors in them being an incredibly weak team have been Magisk and Zonic. But now they've obviously proven with this tournament that they can win, but they also did just acquire a 4-man core or 3-man core that went to the playoffs of the previous major, and then they upgraded their entry rifler to be the arguably best rifler in the world in Nico. So it almost just feels kind of like
they can win an event without the best teams.
Yeah,
it's not only them. That doesn't make them some top tier competition.
No,
right.
Come on.
Yes. I listen to your point. Now you're gonna listen to mine. The thing is, you said that they are a good team at the end of your take. Like I can't say that because they haven't shown anything.
How many teams are better than them?
But at least 5.
Oh my god! So the 6th best team in CS sucks dick, yeah? That's your actual
5.
take, yeah?
At least you just said the competition everybody's like lingering around them. But you are missing the main
So there's
point.
your hot take, all of CS sucks. All of CS, all right, Liverpool hates, huh?
Even
Who are you, Arsenal fan, are you? Oh, fucking all league
say they're
sucks.
6th.
It's unfair.
But let's say they're 6th. Are you gonna listen? Let's say they're 6th, right now. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The money that have been invested in this fucking
who gives a shit?
For the last 16 months.
All right, kassad.
I give a shit.
Kassad, you're in the server. It's a 1v1. It's like it's sneak court against pick a player, right? We'll say Na'Vi. There we go. There's your 5th best team. Sneak court against JL. It's a 1v1. Nico's about to shoot JL in the head. The game pauses, quickly goes off, does like a remote query, which accesses a financial database over in fucking Ukraine and goes, sorry, Na'Vi spent a lot less money than Falcons. You win this 1v1 JL. Oh, sorry, does none of that matter? Does literally the amount of money, I just even said this in my point, you've just literally made my point for me, which is you're not judging the fucking team in the server today, you're judging based on things like what they've been doing with the whole project in CS2 and how many millions they've wasted, and the fact they wasted it on Simple and Dupree. Listen,
that's why I can't fucking call them good.
Then as I said, your hot take needs to be that CS fucking sucks, because, by the way, this event was the worst one.
Were they good in the last 5 games of the fucking PGL? Yeah, they were a good team last 5 games.
Put it this way.
But what about the last 5 months? When they were fucking dead last with the same team on the biggest event of the year so far in Katowice, with Spirit, with Mouse, with fucking Vitality, with Navi, they were dead last. And now 2 months later, all of a sudden they're good. No, it's not like that. And overall, they spend millions of dollars. They don't need to be good. The good is just a floor for them.
No, which is it? Are they
So
are they not good, or are they just not the best? Because I notice there's a difference between those two things.
They need to be the best. Needs to be like a
how's
fucking
this,
thing
man?
for
How's
them.
this even a right? So the counter to my take, which is you all went way too far on Falcons, treated them like they were terrible. Maui then confirms, yeah, they're like last place in every event. Then you're like, oh, the fucking blah, blah, blah. You're just making my point for me. You literally just both made my point for me. My point is this team was never as bad as it seemed. That's why you even did that whack thing where you just said where they came. Spoiler, do you want to know which events have the most amount of play in them, Maui? The PGL events. They're the events with the most fucking sample size. And by the way, this one's the worst one of all. Because the first one did look really jarring because we just came out of every event having Vitality or Spirit, right? This one was actually mega fucking overcast. No, I'm not even joking. There are only only 3 teams that were missing from this event. I know you're going to go, what about Na'Vi? Na'Vi isn't even guaranteed to win this event, boys. If this event was the exact same field, but just with Na'Vi, I don't think it's guaranteed they win this one. They look sus themselves. They could lose to Aurora. They could lose to FaZe. They could probably lose to Falcons themselves, mate. They probably lose to VP. It's probably a guarantee. But the thing is, I'll give you that. If the top 3 teams...
How can they be good if they can lose to anyone?
I definitely never said that.
Like a good teams would be a good teams just because they cannot lose to anyone. Then you're just an inconsistent team that, you know...
Just to be sure, how many teams are good in Counter-Strike, kassad?
Right now that are really good.
No. Okay, stop saying you're not in fucking court, bitch. You said good. I asked good. Don't go very good. No, just good will do, thanks. So far,
by
there's
my
4 teams.
standards, good. By my standards,
right,
good.
Brilliant.
4 or 5.
And here we are, the latest.
That's even too much.
We got the latest ranking save. Kassad's good teams. Only 4 this month, guys.
Are saying everything, Duncan. Look at the events this year. Like which teams have been on the top for the most part of the big events where everybody was involved. Spirit, Vitality, right? Those 2 teams. And maybe Eternal Fire. But now we had a point about them. Falcons is not there. They're not there. If they can lose to Complexity and Gamer Legion the way they did and win the event, that doesn't tell me anything. It tells me they're just inconsistent. And you disregarding the fact that probably degster knew that he was out before the event, which kind of...
Oh, that's made him better at CS, didn't it? Brilliant, nice, all right.
Sorry?
That's made him better at CS, and then he just tripped over and won a tournament, did he? Oh, shit, fuck, I've tripped down the stairs and won the MVP.
Noobs.
Oh, what have I done?
Well, I didn't call them noobs, did I?
Oh, sorry, I was only playing against
Chex Notes. Or good.
I was only playing against Chex Notes m0NESY, but I guess I'll just fuck around and take this MVP.
Duncan, you're not listening. You're just speaking random things at this point.
I am. Fuck you.
My point is that if you are paying these teams or this team
he's still
quite a lot,
fucking salary, I can't handle it at all.
Absolutely.
And also, you've been called out as a fraud. You're talking shit about salaries.
Who cares? Like the things that are not true. Like I don't care about those. But the thing is, like that chairman guy, the I don't know, I forgot his name, from Falcons, replied to that.
Yeah, I saw that.
DAS2 article.
Yeah.
He didn't reply to me, but he replied to the article very politely, though. I have to say that.
What did he say?
But he said, like, you know, I was wrong. I was like wrong twice about the salary of the. I wasn't wrong.
The only problem with that, I will say, is kassad.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, if he's listening right now, like, if you are listening to this, I saw the contract myself with my own eyes 15 months ago, where the numbers was as exactly as I said.
Okay.
In the last show, I said I just added his value for over a year and added the inflation.
Right.
And presume the number. But I saw that contract, so tell me that I'm wrong. You are wrong. And if you want to talk about it, come and join us right here on the show.
Or just show the contract.
Yeah, could do that.
Or
too.
just show.
I want you to. I don't
show
want
the contract.
Don't show the contracts if he doesn't want to, but he can talk to us instead of sending his Zonix and that whoever that guy was on HLTV talking nonsense all the time on the fucking interviews. Just come out and say what your strategy was and explain to people that are wondering and prove me wrong. If you are such a tough guy, you want to reply on the articles, call my name, come up and, you know, put your money where your mouth is.
I will say, kassad, the really telling thing about the way he replied is you'll notice his reply didn't in any way clarify or give any additional information. In fact, his reply, I can tell you, people were memeing, but I actually think there's a very solid chance that the reply for real was him playing the silly game of like, you said it was 40,000. That's not true. It's 39,999. But the point is, you were
exactly.
wrong. Like exactly. Like if you, the problem with that one is, by the
Let me
way,
add another
if you
thing
were
to
really
that. Let
wrong,
me add
Kassad,
another
I
thing
think,
to Mr. Chairman.
I think he would have mentioned something like that's way too high or way too. He didn't mention any specifics. That's what
Yeah,
made
he
it
said
feel a
that.
bit
Yeah,
suspect.
excuse me for not guessing the right number.
I thought it was a bit sus to me. I've got to say.
And also, one more thing that I have to tell to this Mr. Chairman guy, that for his former players have sent me the pictures of the fucking things. His former fucking employees as well have been messaging me saying that I was right. So, I don't know. Am I right or am I wrong? You come out and say it.
Well,
It's just, I mean, yeah,
no massive
I
witch
just-
hunt in that guy's office, but okay, don't worry about Kassad.
It's one of those. It's just one of those dumbass replies where you could just say, "No, I wasn't making." It could just be like, "No, it's after conversion rates, it's a little bit different now." It's like, dude, yeah, the lack of added detail is kind of a obvious tell.
It's crazy.
It's an obvious tell that it's
I-
really you're pretty much on
I
it.
saw the fucking contract with my own eyes. Like
Yeah.
I seen it, and people have been in their team in the past year have told me like every single number they knew. Like, what are we fucking talking about? Like, just please.
Anyway, to bring it all the way back, the reason why I think people went too hard on Falcons, I've given the reasons already. I think it's actually stuff that has nothing to do within the server. Then there's also that stupid angle of like, well, Nico leave playing with m0NESY. It's like, spoiler, they're both left now and they're both going to be in a different fucking org.
Yeah.
Like, how many more times do we have to like sort of get the message like, we don't like G2? Like, I get it. I just get it at this point, guys. And then lastly, I'll just throw this out there. The reason why I think people went way too far on Falcons is actually everyone at this last event memed on them for exactly this reason. Falcons actually are a pretty decent like front running team. Their problem in the past was they were terrible at closing games out. They would out, like you saw that series where they had like 3 maps in a row where it was like, was it against Virtus Pro? Where the ones where they were just like going up like 11 to 8, 12 to, they always lost somehow. So I will say they definitely had issues closing out in that sense. But to me, that's also the problem with like just ramming players together, just making a rush out of nowhere.
With all jokes aside and all the trolling that we do here and like shouting and yelling, are they a terrible team? They're not a terrible team. You cannot say they're bad, but they want to fucking.
I actually find them enjoyable to watch, mate. Look, they can be frustrating too.
They did play well in Cluj as well. Like it's not that they play terrible everything, but in a larger picture of this season, when you compare the Katowice, the Blast Lisbon, the Pro League where they finished 9th to 11th, they're not consistent in what they do. Because of the turbulence in the team, because of the fucking, are they bringing m0NESY, not bringing m0NESY? You hear the timeout, you hear the fucking confusion. This is what telling me they're not a good team. Are they going to be a good team with m0NESY? Probably. Who the fuck knows, right? m0NESY is a massive upgrade. But right now, you cannot put them as a team that's good or even like, they're just above average right now.
Well, here's the thing, Kassad. What if I told you one of the fan takes relates to Falcons, and maybe it's going to be within your wheelhouse? Are you ready? So this fan take is from the Oneric Fry, and he says, Falcons will not be top 5 even after m0NESY joins. With m0NESY still not reaching his full stride this year, Nico's more inconsistent form, choking Tessus, confused Magisk, average Kixen, and the sheer calamity of the Falcons org as a whole, even this team will flounder. They will be floating around 6th to 9th still, with only marginal improvements. And then, because he already knows he's on a kassad show, he's already given his actual teams above him. He's given Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, Na'Vi, and Aurora will all be better than them. So what do you think of this? This is a pretty bold take. He's even saying, obviously he did do this take, I will say, before the fucking win of this tournament. His take is that even with m0NESY, they won't be top 5. What do you think? This is the ultimate hate take. Guys, what do you think? Where we're going on this?
He's not far off. He's not far off.
He's been co-signed by kassad immediately. Okay.
I feel like with m0NESY, they're a top 4 team pretty much for sure. I don't really see what. I don't know like why you're.
We're gonna learn that m0NESY isn't good at CS either. I'm just ready at this point in time. Everyone talks.
I feel like when you get, I mean, in my humble opinion, when you get the best opper in the world, arguably top 2.
Well, well, we have to do that Norman Rockwell pitting. I think m0NESY's actually good at CS kassad. Like,
I know. And arguably, you have a top 2 rifler in the world in Deco. And a totally serviceable IGL in Kixan. Like I'd say Kixan for me, if I'm just being even like modest, he's a top 7 IGL. Okay, that's even modest. He might even be Then you have Magisk and Tessus, who are great complementary pieces. Maybe Tessus isn't the best big stage player. Maybe Magisk doesn't always have it in terms of mechanics versus like the Zoomers. But like, I don't see how they're not an S, like not S tier, but like an A tier team. Yeah, they're an A tier team. I don't know. Like, I think that they're going to be better than Aurora. I think that they're basically just fighting to see if they can break into that upper echelon with Vitality, Spirit, and Mouse now. That's just my take on them. I don't see how they don't just pass everybody else. They're passing G2 now. They're passing. I mean, they're better than FaZe for sure. They already were better than FaZe with degster. And now the question is kind of like, are they going to be up there with Aurora and Na'Vi, right beneath the 3 teams that we think are the best?
Come on, kassad.
I don't. You just said like having m0NESY just instantly puts you in top 4.
Yeah, instant.
Yes.
For me, that's nonsense.
It's like when you got Rops for Olaf Meister on FaZe. Like, yeah, you instantly become a contender. I feel like
Rops for Olaf Meister. Ah, yeah, that was the one. Yeah, okay.
The one that made them suddenly the best team, basically. You know.
Yeah, but look at the pieces, like the pieces that FaZe had that one, and in that trade, like the rest of the pieces, Kerrigan as an IGL, who was the top 1 IGL at the time, right? You can say it maybe Glaive. I don't know if that was the same year, but he was definitely top 2 at the time. Yeah, Maui.
At the time, as an IGL, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, Kerrigan was already a great IGL then.
No, yeah, but he was like at that moment when he joined, right? You said that Robs put them instead of all of he placed them into like a contender type of a team, right?
The other IGLs at the time were like Apex, Nafany,
Carrigan was
an
there,
IGL,
right?
Boomich.
Yeah,
Boomich was an IGL.
Cadian was in Heroic.
Apex.
Boomich was there. He was
Cadian.
Yeah, he said it.
Yeah,
he said it.
Those
Yes.
two.
The thing is, like, when you look at the rest of the pieces and compare them to today's pieces in Falcons, it's not even remotely close. Carrigan and Kixon, you comparing them, like, right, that is
no, obviously
night
not.
and day, right? But look at the rest of the Rain at the time against who? Tessus? Who is better? Fucking Rain 10 times. 10 fucking times. Who else was there?
He wants to say so badly. He's so scared.
I mean, they had Twist. They had Twist.
Yeah. Don't even mention, like, forget about everybody else then. Like the pieces are what's the problem here, right? And this is I was going to make this my hot take, but we can just add to the fans one, right? I was going to say that m0NESY had a brighter future in G2 rather than he does in Falcons.
What a mad take! I know.
That's crazy. Okay, I love this take.
Spin into it and give us this take. This take might be complete ass, but come on, hit me with it. Come on.
Outside of the the IGL, which is obviously a massive problem in G2.
Did you make up with Pecker over the weekend or something? What's going on? Like,
no. Listen. But he has a better like rest of the players outside of again Nico, who is on the other side, right? The Falcons. When you compare Malps to what Tessus, who's better? Or Heavy God, Tessus. Who is better? Who has a better future? Who has a better future in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Some of the pieces.
Okay,
I mean, I would take
next. But let me speak. Then the Heavy God against the fucking. Who else is there?
Magisk. Yeah.
Who has a better future? Who is a better player right now? Heavy God, at least twice.
Why is he trying to take over this show? Like, you know that thing in Oppenheimer, Bowie, where like Robert Downey Jr.'s character's running those like fucking hearings or whatever. Why is he taking over this shit like that? Like, I've said your piece. I'm making my points now.
Well, because he's interrupted me. I want to make my point.
Okay, all right.
You have those two pieces, right? They have a brighter future than any of those two in Falcons. You have Nico, who is 28 right now. He's not going to go far with like a top 10 player, that's for sure. He's not going to go for a long time. He will maybe a year or two. I said year in one of the previous shows, but probably 2. And then if you change that IGL in G2 and put whoever, Hunter, and you get an IGL, which team is going to be like better composed? Which team is going to have better pieces and more, structure and cohesion and whatever the future? Falcons or G2? Immediately, you can say the G2 is better, but the Falcons are better. But in a space of 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years. You see what I'm getting at, right?
No, I think it's
future-wise.
Trash.
Unless
I think you even just did a thing where you were like, if you just check out their ideas, no, we're just doing fantasy moves that haven't even, we're doing moves, Maui, that G2 themselves haven't even considered, or maybe don't even want to do. But he's like, and the next thing you know, you take out snacks, yada yada yada.
You don't take out
next thing you know, Carrigan's saying there. What do you know? Oh fucking hell!
No. I didn't say you make moves. I just said about the IGL.
Okay.
I just said.
So wait a minute. So an essential part of your argument was that if m0NESY stays in G2 without Nico, and then fucking Hunter takes over as IGL, something, that's a really good team to be.
There's no something.
I don't even get it, mate. Because I'm with Maui. I think m0NESY literally puts the Falcons jersey on, and the second it touches his body, like fucking Jesus or something, being touched by a leper, the whole thing's transformed, and they're like the fourth best team in CS, mate. I think they'll just immediately like go. It's why that's one thing. We did this last episode as well, Maui. Of all the takes, I can't believe he still's like a skeptic of the idea that like Nico and m0NESY are just going to like ball out playing together. Like that's the one thing I'm almost certain of, kassad. Like the rest of it, I'm with you. I don't know how Kickson's going to handle it, or what will Zonic do with these two players, or what will happen to Tessus as well. But I don't really give a fuck, mate. I'm pretty sure Nico and m0NESY are just going to click mouse one on a lot of opponents. It's going to be dope to watch, mate. I don't know how else the rest of it works, but I can't wait. And I'm with you, by the way. I actually agree the top end of CS after Vitality and Spirit is pretty weak. But that's why it's primed for people like Falcons to just go crazy. It's why actually, by the way, when they get their shit together, I even expect Team Liquid to be really good. Like, mate, you've got the rosters to do it. Like, these teams can fuck around be top 5 immediately, surely. You don't think so, kassad? What's holding them back?
I don't know. Top 5, they could be 4, 5, 6. Top 3 is the problem.
Like, didn't you find this G2 a bomber, mate?
Constantly.
Like, was this one not a bomber? Was this G2 not a bomber to you, mate? Like, I never thought this G2 could win this tournament when they were in the final, mate. They just looked so lackluster.
With Snacks, probably zero chance. But the thing is, like, if somebody was there instead of Snacks, I think they would have a reasonably good chance to make it a 50-50 at least, because this game wasn't even 50-50. It was the. Do
you have a theory, kassad? You can do it as pure speculation. Do you have a theory as to why no big players seem to want to join G2? Why does it not happen? Why do people just leave and then not join? Do you have a theory?
The thing is, like, maybe in the last 12 months, nobody of the big names would want to join because they don't know what's the future for the rest of the team. If I'm the player with the fucking big future ahead of me, full talent, and I don't know if m0NESY is going to stay or leave, and the org doesn't know, why would I join, right? When there is so many better opportunities there for me as a player. Now, maybe it's the budget thing. You know that G2 is fucking, constantly whining about money, but they keep getting money. But it's like, maybe it's that. Maybe, when you look at the core of the team, you have Malmstown, Hunter, and Heavy God. That's good enough for any player to join with those 3.
In theory, yeah.
Especially from the lesser teams. You don't have to bring a player from Vitality, right? You don't have to bring a player from, Liquid, FaZe, whatever, these big orgs. You can bring a player from, Nemiga or teams like that have those like talented players. Everybody would join. 100%. And, it's about G2 now. What are they going to do? They brought in Hades for the loan until June, that we saw the news today and everything, but we already kind of knew. That's a valid move to just loan someone to kind of make a plan for the next season, because they kind of write this one off. But overall, m0NESY joining Falcons will definitely improve them. Yeah.
Are you going to agree with this guy then that won't be top 5? That was his main take, that they won't be top 5 with m0NESY.
Fuck, it's hard to say outside of top 5. The thing is, like, because you said it yourself, now it's Vitality, Spirit, right? And there is everybody else.
And Mouse, maybe put Mouse in there too.
Maybe Mouse, let's say maybe Mouse,
let's just
right?
do all 3.
Because they did play good events with teams like Spirit and Vitality in them. So let's say top 3 there, but we're not sure yet. And you have Aurora, you have it, what do you call them, Mongols,
Na'Vi,
and FaZe, who are Na'Vi, who can still lose to anyone. Yeah, that's why you cannot make them like as a good. And you can put their Falcons. I'm not against.
Right, okay.
I just don't see them as a contenders, and I definitely am gonna talk shit to them simply because the amount of oil money they spent into this project. If they spent like 300, 400k up to $1 million, then I would say, yeah, fair enough. They are finding their way. They're not overspending. They're looking for their place, solidifying structure, like everything inside the org. And maybe over time, like some other teams in football, they will, accelerate to being contenders because they have unlimited money, which is. You can name so many examples. I told you the Manchester City one. The first season, they were third, they were this, they spent more money, and they start winning, and they won 6 titles in a row. And finally, the Champions League. If that's the case, if that happens after this move for Falcons, respect. That's it, right? But still leaves you with 5 billions at least wasted.
Okay.
Now, the thing with m0NESY, we'll see how it goes. But yeah. I have another take.
I'll just say very quickly, because I didn't really give my take. I've sort of echoed Maui's take. I actually just think the roster will work pretty much immediately. I also think, by the way, technically he means this exact roster, but as I've said for the last year or so, to me, the real story was when I heard last year that it's definitely happened that Nico comes again. As soon as Nico came, I didn't know m0NESY would join this quickly. I thought it'd probably be a different talent. But in my opinion, someone like Nico is a magnet to join. Then you add in, you can pay the most money. It was just inevitable people will join this team. That's why I said it's like the Real Madrid factor. They'll just eventually be a top team. And with you, Lucas, the question is how long will it take them to get there? That's true.
Let me ask you this. Maybe this is a fair question. And I think you'll appreciate it. Do you think that m0NESY joining instead of degster will resolve every other problem that was obviously in that team? Do you think his sheer presence... So those problems will be there, right? They will be there. And they are not being fixed for the last, 10 months, 8 months, 7 months, whatever, 16 months, even this only 2025. Do you think m0NESY joining will just be immediate, blank page starting to you don't have to fix anything?
No, but you will just win more games, won't you?
He's a huge band-aid.
Yeah, winning games helps.
Like one of the G2's T-side rating looks probably 15% better because m0NESY's winning 2 clutches per half. So even if they have a bad structure, but all 4 members of G2 run in and m0NESY gets to go last, then...
Bro, m0NESY even does the actual 2018 simple thing where he does on the force buy, he buys the scout and actually just gets 2 scout headshots. And you're like, how's this even allowed? That's the shit where I think it's just so
also,
impossible.
Let me add one more thing that I just remembered. Do you remember the best times of G2? Sure. When they won Katowice, Cologne, and the Banana Cups and everything?
With Hooksy.
Yes. Do you remember how they played? It wasn't just Nico and m0NESY running around the server killing everybody. It was both Hunter and JKS on their top fucking performance, which lead them to events. You said it billions of times, Duncan. Now they have Nico and m0NESY. The other 2 pieces, do they need to be better than Hunter and JKS? Equally good, or they can just coast with whatever they were doing right now, and they will still be able to win Katowice or Cologne? There's the question of that. We just forget that. There is a valid point to think about that as well.
Sure.
Hunter played out his mind in the stage games.
Yeah, true.
JKS had great games in the things. They had obviously the anchor, which is called Hooksy. Also, let me talk about Hooksy as well. Not just him, but the interview that m0NESY said. Hooksy is the best IGL that I ever worked with. That's additional pressure for fucking Kixon. If I'm Kixon, what the fuck? What do I think now? What do I do now? And also, you don't need to take that seriously because m0NESY really only worked with 2 IGLs in his fucking life. That was Fear, I think, from
no, Aleksandar
now Fnatic.
Aleksandar B, Snacks, Hooksy are the 3.
He means whoever was in the academy squad or whatever he means.
Yeah.
I would just say, if I was Aleksandar B, I'd do some Thorin shit and screenshot that and have that on my mirror. What up now, bitch? I've won a major. What the fuck have you won with m0NESY, you little rat? Fuck up my face. You're the fucking second best opera I've played with from Eastern Europe in the last few years. There you go. How you like that, bitch? I'd do that shit. Yeah, come on, Lexi. Talk your shit, son. You're a major winner, son. Get it out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think he would love it. But yeah, overall, it's too many factors for them to just be. So I just lightly can say listen, they're instantly top 4. No. There is too many things. I can't just say it.
Okay.
So maybe that guy was right.
I like the way Maui set up that thing about how I'm only going to pick ridiculous takes. And kassad's already agreed with the second take ever mentioned. Yeah. And he actually thinks that guy's more on point than we are. So in some ways, I hope you enjoyed that, whatever the Eric fly or fry or whatever. Like, there you go. You won Kassad's heart, but only that. Right, okay.
The thing is, like, he was actually thinking about that. He said he had an explanation.
Yeah.
He had a reason.
And as I said, he did technically
this is what we want.
He also did do that take before they won this last PGL. So I'm setting him up there for that one. Like, he couldn't know they would win in the meantime.
Yes.
Right,
this is what we want. To all the people that are watching,
that was a good
this
take.
is exactly what we want.
Yes, good take. Right,
Respect
Maui,
for the guy.
You have a take?
Yeah.
Go on, hit me.
Yeah, I've won. I feel like this is so obvious right now. Okay, obviously Dexter's on the bench. There's an opper that's just been absolutely blowing it for a tier 1 team.
Oh
for
my
quite
God,
some
where's
time.
he going with this one? Is he really going to say Navi? Is he not going to say Navi? Where's
no,
going?
no.
Fucking say Navi, I'm leaving.
No. There's got to be obvious. This is obvious, guys. Dexter should now just replace broky. Dexter should replace broky.
Okay.
I mean, broky's been struggling for like 6 months.
Okay.
It's been bad. It's been bad for broky believers. Okay, versus any top opposition at all. Broky has just been pretty tragically bad. Like, people love to talk about Wonderful for how he doesn't perform well in a grand final. Dude, broky in a group stage now is not even the same guy. If he's playing against any team that's just in the top 15, top 10 or whatever, it's like it's just a sea of red practically. Like, he's been and the problem is that, like, broky's style is just like what you get if you have simple with none of the maintenance mechanically. Like, he's just going for absolutely bullshit shots all the time with no thought regarding, like, oh, if I miss this shot, like, how do I reposition next? Oh, if I hit this shot, what should I do next? It's basically just like he's just going into the next thing every single time. He's just like also the way he died to lose that game to Falcons on Mirage, where there was a molly that landed on him, and he was thinking, his first instinct was, I'm going to push this. Then he decided against pushing it, went back to the molly, went 100 to 0 in a jungle molly. It was like, bro,
it was pretty bad. It
just doesn't make any sense. And, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen Dexter make some kind of weird macro moves in the last 3-4 months, but he's not doing anything remotely close to that. Also, Dexter is just a more explosive opper right now. So I feel like if I'm FaZe right now, I'm thinking about Dexter, because also there's definitely reasons why you wouldn't, as FaZe Clan, want to do this, but no, I want to hear you guys' takes on this. Like, if you why not FaZe just get Dexter at this point?
Want me to take it, Duncan?
Go on, you got some take. Come on.
All right. No. Listen, fuck, I like it. That's the thing.
Fucking hell, what's going on? Okay.
I like it because of the momentum right now. But I would do it like this. I wouldn't just straight up buy him. I would loan him. I would loan him for 6 months till the end of 2025 to see if I can fit him into the system. To see, because Dexter is not even close to like broky is in terms of personality, in terms of play style, in terms of the resources that he takes up in the fucking server. Because broky doesn't take up too much. Dexter does. Dexter definitely does. Dexter has a voice that broky doesn't. Dexter has an ego that broky doesn't. Dexter is a very extrovert type of person. Very, very extrovert type of full Dagestan guy, like full on, like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to say what I think, I'm just going to do this and that, and he is actually going to do it. Now, is that the person that FaZe needs? And we don't know. Maybe, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'd say yeah.
I would say yeah. Something they need to kind of shake things up. How would Elish, mesh with him? We all know Elish's personality. He's not the guy who's going to be silent, on the server, on the practice, in the preps, in the fucking thing, whatever. We know that Kerrigan is an authority figure there. Rain is kind of whatever. He's going to go along with everyone. But the thing is, like, do we give up broky? Do we, like, send him down the drain so easily? After Rain has been there for 2 years now without even being remotely swapped from the team, because Rain has not been performing. And now all of a sudden you keep Rain and you will get rid of broky. It seems like a dick move towards broky. But then again, it's a performance-based industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need the results to get paid. Like, it's just the way it is. It's not a fucking working in a bank as a fucking clerk. You just do your 9 to 5, you clock out and you go home. It's not. You have to perform. You have to perform on a daily basis, especially with the schedule that you have right now. And broky has not been doing it. So the loan can be a valid try for FaZe to kind of level up. Because they not just level up, but keep up with the other teams, because they're dropping off. Elish addition brought them close to nothing. They haven't got any better. They haven't gotten too much worse than they were before him. But the move was made for him to get better, for them to get better. And they have not been playing. What is the reason? Is it broky? Is it rain? Is it maybe Kerrigan? Is it Neo? We don't fucking know. But they are looking terrible. They barely made it to the playoffs. They had a good game there. Probably a good game plan. Probably a good execution. The playoff game. The 3D Max didn't play too much playoffs in the situations like that. Probably zero as far as I know. Outside of this like kind of tier 2, tier 3 events. But to replace broky, I do like the idea. I think that degster can bring at least the intensity, not just the performance, more frags, which obviously you need that, right? But the intensity, like the urgency in the team. Let's get better now. I want to be a fucking contender instantly. I want to be fucking playoffs team again. I want to be fighting with Vitality. I want to be fighting with fucking against Shiro and Donk. I want to be that guy. Because he is that guy. He wants to be that guy at least. He proved it that he can play good. Is it because there is no pressure, or he was simply pissed off about the situation that he found out he's going to be replaced? He's like, I'm going to fucking show you who I am, and I'm going to fucking destroy all the fucking opponents on the event. And he did that. Now, is it a one-time thing? I don't think so. He definitely has skill. He has the work ethic. I know that for sure. The ego might be a problem. I don't want him right now, as degster is, to fucking get his ego to think instead of him. He needs to make the smart move. He needs to not doesn't need to bite more than he can chew at this moment, right? He doesn't need to demand certain shit for him just because he was the MVP of one event. Like, because that things quickly change. Think about where you're going to go next. Going to 6 months at the end of the year to FaZe on a loan from Falcons would relieve them from financial pressure, would relieve them from fucking having to buy him off instantly, see how it works and taking a risk, would relieve Falcons from actually having to pay his salary. And it would work with both teams because they need some, change of pace in FaZe, right? Something to kind of move them a little bit. So I like the idea and I like the take. Just I would do it a slightly different, not just straight up buying.
The only problem is I don't feel like it's that hot a take. Like, isn't everyone kind of out on broky at the moment, especially after how this last PGL went? And plus, it's obviously just like the fucking feel-good story if degster then gets like a real team that everyone can watch and play and blah, blah. I actually do agree, though, on the take, though. I actually think the part that's probably underrated about the take is this isn't about a pure, like, op for op swap. Like, I do think degster is the better AWPer, but, like, right now, degster himself has up and down periods. He's not always, like, a guaranteed, like, X amount of kills, or he can't always be... But I'll tell you what, here's the difference. I actually think his style, the way he plays, would be so welcome on FaZe Clan. Like, he is a really decisive AWPer, and he's a guy where, like, he's not the guy where when the smoke comes in, he just stands behind it like, oh, well, I guess I can't go through. He'll make plays. Like, he'll push up. He's got a really good, by the way, short and close range AWP. Like, he has a very reliable hit rate. If you ever see him fire, like if you ever watch him play, think about if he plays like Mirage. If he's around like the ticket booth, he's going to hit the shot on the guy in the site every time. Like, you can rely on certain things like that. So I also think, like, he would add a flaw to FaZe. I do think, by the way, I agree with what Kassad said. If you think about, like, sort of the social hierarchy within FaZe, if you're broky, you could turn around and go, what the fuck? So you guys get to all have your 3 to 6 months where you fucking suck, but then you all stay in the team. But then when I have my bad period, I get fired. And the problem with that is I'd have to say, well, yeah, broky, but you're the AWPer, mate. Like, even though I agree with Kassad, you definitely not some AWPer when the whole game's set up around you and you take all crazy resources. You are the one using the super expensive gun, though. Like, you are the one who can have more impact. So the problem is, if I actually, put it this way, if it's between Rain and broky, look, I can expand this because there's actually a fan take that comes on this. I'd say just fuck it, replace both. Just gamble and go for the top spot. Why not do both moves? There's actually a fan take I'll spin into in a second, which is like that. But if we're picking between them, I actually also agree with you, Kassad. Like, look, I can replace Rain easily. Like, everyone doing that thing of like, yep, guys, wait, didn't we all say this at the beginning of FaZe? That was 3 years ago. That was literally 3 years ago now, by the way. I hope people realise that. That was 2022 March was when he had that fucking amazing, like, run from the fucking Katowice through to the majors. That was 3 years ago. So, but the problem is, his role, he isn't as bad relative to the role broky does, which is the AWPer in the fucking team. He is way worse as an AWPer than Rain is at whatever role he does in FaZe now. So, but I'll spin it into this, because it turns out the other fan take was a bit like that. It was by Penthos, and they're going to one-up you, Maui. They say FaZe should sign degster and Perfecto for broky and Rain, because Perfecto said today he's available, and he was benched. They said swap broky and Rain for degster and Perfecto, and he thinks that they can basically immediately start contending with like vitality. He puts degster still has some of that crazy shit that peak broky had. It's just it's better in CS2, and he doesn't have to combat AWP. And then he put Rain has to change roles to fit Elige, and his new positions would fit better for a support / anchor like Perfecto. They would also fit with FaZe's trend of not spending megabucks. By the way, that's actually even a fairly good fan point at the end there. If you notice, FaZe doesn't seem to like do the massive buyouts, but those are sort of players where you're trying to like min-max at their quality players. You put them with Carrigan and it'll all fit together and stuff. What do you think of this move, boys? What if we expand it out to this fan take? What do you think?
Like the financial aspect. Go, Bowie, sorry.
I mean, I think that I don't think Perfecto's proven anything lately, so that's the problem with this. Does he naturally fit what Rain is trying to accomplish for FaZe? Yeah, but I just feel like if I haven't seen him play in quite some time, it's such a big risk. Like, I already just made the single take of moving degster, and I already feel like that's mostly a positive, unless really it is some kind of personality clash, which I don't think it would be. For Perfecto, I mean, Perfecto could be good. I also don't know how good at English he is, so like, I have to base that. I hate bringing up that.
True. No, it's true.
It is.
But we don't know. The thing is, like, that's an unknown thing. What's a known thing is the fact that he would be free, as we saw from the news that he's a free agent. So there is no spending there. The problem is the roles. Like, he is not an aggressive player. He's a supportive anchor / defensive kind of guy who is not going to be taking, again, any resources at all, which can free up resources for degster, right, if you make that move. But the problem is the entry role.
By the way, kassad, I noticed no one on this show, none of us did do what all those fans were doing with that whole stupid call storyline. Like, even though I agree with you, if you look overall, kassad, they didn't really get better or worse to replacing Robs for Elige. If anything, the scene's different, and they're sort of in the similar sort of hard spot where they're like barely a playoff team and they don't do many deep runs. But here's the sad thing. Whenever I watch them play, I don't even get these whole like anti-Elige angles, mate. Like, he looks fucking dope in some of these games. Like, there'll be games where he really does do the call shit, just running with an AK and shoot 2 people in the head, and they lose the round, and I'm like, what's he supposed to do? Like, I don't get it, because to me, Elige is actually one of the few parts of the team I don't think's the problem. I'm trying to fix the other parts.
I don't think Elige is the problem at all. I do agree that the problem might be Rain. The problem might be the fact that they are stale together.
Okay.
And that's why the degster coming in and shaking them up would be a good thing. But switching Rain for Perfecto is a fucked up thing role-wise. I definitely think that would change so many things. And Maui had a valid point saying, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to get with Perfecto. He didn't play for God knows how long. You know how those things, even for simple right now, I wouldn't know what to get. Just let alone Perfecto, right? So I would go in a different road. If you want to go something more gambly, I would take a star from a lesser known team, right? Anybody that's promising right now, if you want to kind of gamble, because getting Perfecto is a gamble, right? So, but as far as degster goes, definitely the take is fine. I think that somebody has given whatever the guy's name is. He had gave some thought to it. Especially when he mentioned the financial side, which is rarely what fans do. They don't think about the money. They don't think about the business. They just say random minus this plus this. He actually thought about it. So props to that guy. But I do agree with Maui saying that, it's too big of a gamble. And degster just might be the one. And on loan, not on the straight up buying.
Right, well, turns out we're actually complimenting all the fucking pleb fans. So if you want
you picked 2 good ones.
These are not two good ones. I picked the ones that had explanations, like I said, so to give it a chance. It wasn't just a one sentence like the Mongols one. So I will say, if you want to have your take submitted next week, just go to the Last for Nation Discord, subscribe, go to the CS hot takes channel, and you'll find it all. Do we have one last take to end the episode?
I mean, I can add one if you want.
Let's do one on the way out the door. Go on.
Yeah, let's do it like this. I was watching this, what do you call it, MRQ, yeah?
Okay.
And as we speak, OG qualified for the major as the first team or the second team with the 3-0 score, right?
We're going with this, okay.
Well, now I have been thinking, like, how much we bashed teams and orgs like Astralis, EG, Falcons. Well, those 3 for the most part, right? NIP, let's be the 4th one. But all these organizations, right? Starting from EG. EG, when they got in, they paid a large amount of money for the NRG squad. They played the majors. Even with a shit lineup, they played the majors. They won the New York thing, very first event they played with the new squad. They had some decent results. They had some trophies. They had decent results. And they were most likely always be kind of guaranteed to be on the major. Even with a shit lineup, I think they qualified for Rio and like a couple of more or something like that, right? So there is something to take from there, right? Astralis, we know who Astralis was before they became this. Even though they wasted money, they won 5 majors, how many titles, had the best. There was something going on. NIP, still the same thing, just a little bit earlier, and at Oakland and a bunch of shit before it. And, after that, there was kind of shit. But when Falcons now this, we already covered that. I'm going to go into it again. But OG, since 2019, when they entered CS with Alexi, NBK, Bantu, whoever that was, Issa, they still haven't won a single thing except for that CCT, which I'm not going to fucking count into anything. They played did they play Flashpoint? I think they did, yeah. And they were included in blastings and all this shit, so that doesn't really count. They accomplished nothing there. They have played only 2 majors, and now they're going to play the third one. They played Rio and they played Paris, and they spent nearly the same amount of money as, for example, EG did or NIP did. But in terms of salary, they have been offering salaries like 30K to some of the players that are no longer there. I know that for a fact because I've seen it. Unless those players are straight up lying to me, which I don't think they are. They offer that. They are paying huge amounts of salary to players like Piku now, and they have no identity as a team right now, except for that they had a structure and an idea around the team in 2019 where they brought Alexi and talents like Mantu. You can see the idea behind it, even if it doesn't work. Sure. They had some sort of a plan which you can kind of understand and go along. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine. Now they're just all over the place. They signed Nikodos. They didn't have an offer before that. They signed that Modo guy. They released Modo. They don't have an IGL. They do have an IGL. It's like they want young guys, but they're paying too much, but they're not winning anything. It's like they're a budget version of Gamer Legion, but with 10 times more money than Gamer Legion. So I don't know what the fuck are they doing for the last 6 years, but they could be up there with the worst managed organizations like EG and Astralis and because they had the last partnership spot, right?
I mean, basically, a point that you're making here, Kassad, that people won't get is they've had way more money for like monthly salaries. Like, put it this way, most of their history, as far as I know, they were on the sort of like 10 to 15K a month type salaries. But if you were a fan and you didn't know this and you only watched the tournaments, you'd assume they were on like the 30th best salaries in the world. You'd assume they were like way down the list, right? But I'm with you. Put it this way, they've probably had way more salary than like Eternal Fire, Big Cloud, all these teams, right? They probably had way more to cook with than these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. They way more than bunch of other teams right now that they had more money that for example, Eternal Fire did when they were Eternal Fire.
Absolutely, yeah.
They had more money than Mongols. They had more money than 3D Max for sure. Not to mention Gamer Legion, and I don't know about Complexity. So let's say Pain, they had more money than Pain. They were not even close to results that Pain had. Even like teams like M8, even though they're North American, so it's a little bit easier. Like a bunch of other teams with a lower budget and a less kind of experience as an organization.
So basically, even though people will think this team sucks anyway, actually, if you knew the financial part, they've actually really mismanaged the squad, right?
Absolutely, since day one. And the other thing is like they have enough sponsors, they have enough money to waste, they don't care. So as far as I learned from around the scene, they don't seem to care about the results. Maybe that could be a hot take. OG doesn't care about results.
Okay.
Because since 2019, 0 trophies, 0 times have we said, yeah, OG is a favorite to win this one.
Right.
Yeah, OG is a favorite to playoffs. I have never said that.
I mean, they haven't really been on anybody's radar for like since the Alexi B era of this team. They just haven't been on anybody's radar. The only thing that I remember them doing recently is, I mean, they sold Heavy God to C9. I guess they also had degster for a while.
The joke is they're more famous for the players than the results, Maui. Like they're famous for having like Alexi, degster, Flames. Like that's it. They're not.
I'm pretty sure, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure degster went for free to.
Right.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, close to free, because when we spoke to him, it was about like maybe 20K, 30K buyout.
Right.
That was last year, so I don't think it was probably free. I'm not gonna say 100%, but not too much. Pocket change for Falcons. But overall, yeah. Sorry, go for it. That's.
I mean, they just have been so. Yeah, I feel like in terms of what OG has not done, it's practically everything. I don't really. Man, it's such a weird team where it's obviously they've had more to work with than some other rosters, which is kind of like why they've attained this status. Is almost like they're not endpoint levels of feeder team, but they're kind of one ring above that, where they're getting players that are either kind of coming down from tier 1 or coming up from tier 3, and they're almost like the most certainly tier 2 roster out there, where nobody obviously believes they're going to be accomplishing anything, but weirdly we say that and they might be qualifying for the major right now. Actually, they just qualified.
They did qualify. They did qualify.
Yeah.
That's why I made this, because this like qualifying for major seems to be like the that's enough for us, guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. That's kind of where they're at. No, I don't really have
know if that's good or bad, to be honest.
I don't really have a strong take about OG, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't seen this team for a while. I haven't really thought about them for maybe a year. So yeah.
But that's the thing, because I mentioned them simply because I was watching MRQ and I was like looking for the past results and the players they had and the lineup changes and everything. And then I went back to 2021, 2020, 2019 when they came in, and it was pretty much the same thing for 6 years.
Here's one of the reasons
6
why
years they have been paying salaries.
Because they've done the worst ever example I've seen of the Ship of Theseus model, Kassad, where you're never ever actually just getting a core of players and then adding people to it. You're constantly trying to create a 5-man squad where you're adding one, removing two, adding two, removing one. Like you're just doing that.
Which one is the new and which one is the old?
But you've just done it for like 5 years now, and at the end, by the way, you've never had anything at any point anyway, because you almost got decent with an XCB, then had the online era shit. Then when that came away, this is the worst thing, Kassad. I'm with you. They actually are one of the worst GM teams ever in Counter-Strike, and here's why. Because if you actually look at the money they have, right, they never ever got the results for the money. Like I just said, think of some of the teams I referenced. Big Clan. You might laugh at Big Clan. Big Clan have probably spent a fourth of what OG has, and they've still had the odd tournament they're in, like a playoffs or something. Like OG almost never even does that. So the worst thing about OG is they've actually almost overspent to still get fuck all results. Like two things they've never done is, one, have an identity. I'm with kassad there. They haven't ever had like one squad which was like, think about it, even when they had players like after Alexi, when they had Flame still, they had Degster. Bro, you had these really good players. And you never put like the IGL around them. You never put the piece around. You just kept it. In fact, the worst thing about OG is it almost looks like they're like, that concept people say in the NBA, Maui, which I actually do agree with in the NBA only, which is because you can never know how draft picks work out. You probably should in the draft just pick the best player that's available at that position. And then you worry about it later, whether he fits in your team or whether you sell him or whatever. They do that, but they do it like just as their approach. They just seem to go and sign the best tier 2 player they can at every 6 months. But there's never any rhyme or reason as to what they do in the squad, and there's never like a proper hierarchy and a good IGL, and they're just random squad. It looks like most RG teams look like an FPL mix. It just looks like a bad FPL mix. So you're like, oh, I hope Nico's not the other team. Like, but that's like their squad. And then also, I agree. Hey, pretty sure the last thing I'll say is this, Kassad. I've told the story many times, so I won't do the full thing. This is exactly why my consultancy to Guild Esports was do not enter CSGO, because they would have done exactly this project, mate. I told them the worst thing you can do in CSGO is fall in the middle area where you don't spend a low amount but get really good coaches and min-max your way up like budget style, or you go the other way and you get the guaranteed amazing coach. Like at the time it would have been like a Zeus or something. You'll have to pay top dollar, but then you give them the money and they'll go and get you like, here's my top 15 players in the world, let's go get like 3 of these players. I said you want to do one of those two. You either want the really smart guy, like essentially the Ash Ross R model of like min-max for cheap, or you want like the superstars. Let's get a really good team now. Instead, they've done the one in the middle, which I told Guild don't do, which is you go right in the middle and you don't spend 5 million kassad, or you don't spend 1.5, you spend like 2.5. You don't spend the 30k, which would get you the superstar, or the 5k for the rookie. You spend 13k for everyone. And at the end, you've spent the most possible money to get the least amount of results. I agree with you. It's mad, because to a fan, they wouldn't realise it because there's people who spent more money, but like they've almost spent the most to get the least results I think I've ever seen. It's crazy.
Usually when you go that way, the middle way, like you said, you pay like 13, 15k for players that are nowhere close to what people think they are. They're overpriced, they're overpaid, they are overrated overall. and then you end up wasting a lot of money without getting anything. No, you are nowhere here or there. You're not a farmer team. You're not a young project, or you're not a superstar team. But you spend the money anyway. That's the thing. And for OG, it seems to me that they don't have a plan at all for the past 6 years, except for that first year with
and look at the names we just listed, bro. We just listed there.
Yeah,
Alexi B, Flames, Degster, Heavy God. Bro, those are like some fucking good players. Like, you're actually getting players in the door, but you never do anything with them. Yeah, you never do anything.
And it seems to me that like they have this, like, they're playing okay, and then they drop off, and they're like, question, who are we going to replace? This guy. Who is the best tier 3, whatever? And then they start playing good, they drop off, and like, who are we gonna replace? There is never like a long-term thing or getting a coach. They had the Raga guy for like what, 4.5 years, 5 years, and they gave him a lot of chances. I don't know what the fuck he did. Now he's in Australis. I don't know what the fuck is happening even there. That's a whole different topic. Now they have this Lambert guy.
Yeah.
It seems to me they are very satisfied with mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what annoys me. Like, that's why I have a problem with being mediocre. Like, that's the worst thing you can be in. Like, being just the guy who fills up the spot. Be the fucking worst. Be the fucking best. Don't be in the fucking middle. Like, don't be that guy.
You know when you go into like the Celtics practice facility, Maui, they'll have like some amazing quote, like, you know, brotherhood is paying the blood, sweat, and price.
Yeah.
Kassad's would be the best, be the worst, just don't be in the middle or something like
I
that.
know.
Don't be that guy. No, but seriously, just don't be that guy. Like, nobody fucking, just don't bland into the fucking
of course
mediocrity of like other teams, especially with those resources. You know, the money that you have, just fucking either just go away from CS, get the fuck out, or just do the right thing. Don't be the middle guy. Like, it's always the worst thing.